You've probably never seen a video monitor quite like this one before. I can record internally directly onto the monitor itself. This also acts as a sender or receiver to a second or third monitor, which I can now remotely view that on, but I can also record internally wirelessly to this monitor. At the same time as doing that, I can actually send that signal to an iPad via its app, which you guessed it, I can also record on, this time directly into the iPad wirelessly, all of which is with sound. And as you can tell, the latency is actually pretty good. Before I forget as well, today's video is sponsored by Skillshare. You can get any of their classes, including mine on how to make wedding films, completely for free. If you click the link down below, that will get you your first month of Skillshare for free. So essentially what we have is a 5.5-inch touchscreen monitor from a company called Vaxis. This is the Atom A5. Has all the regular video assist tools in it that you're used to, that you need, including the very important one, having a LUT. This has the LUT on right now. This does not, which technically means this will need a double grade in post to get it looking like it has some form of a grade on it. On top of that, we have the wireless transmission, which I'm obviously using right now to send to this one from this one. And as I showed you at the beginning, you can record internally as well. So it's kind of like a budget Ninja 5. Speaking of which, Ninja 5 brightness, great for seeing outside, 1000 candelas per square meter, identical to what these have. All right, listen, we gotta have a chat. I know you're not subscribed. It shows me. Most of you aren't subscribed. So if you get value out of this, or if you like this, maybe try it out. Just click that button down below. Worst case scenario, you unsubscribe. There's no contract. Thanks. So the wireless aspects of this, well, you do have to have the antennas plugged in. If you remove those, it will not work. Believe me, I tried. It's essentially the same as having something like the Hollyland Mars transmission system or another video transmission system, but built into the monitor. But with the HDMI loop out, the pass-through HDMI, there is something that I could see this being pretty useful for. Imagine you're shooting an event, multi-camera setup. You could be on your own, you could be with someone else, it doesn't really matter. The point is you have two cameras going, and this is my A camera in this situation, and I can view what I'm shooting because I have it on my display right here. But I also want to be able to see what my B camera is, and we'll say this is the B camera. Well, I can because I have the HDMI going into the sender Vaxis monitor, and then on top here, it's wirelessly receiving that signal. So I can view my A camera on the monitor of the camera, obviously, and then my B camera is displayed through the receiver of the Vaxis monitor. Tried this exact setup at a wedding. This was my speeches angle, and this was my reactions roaming angle. Worked flawlessly, and it was really handy to have. In terms of range on the box, it says 600 feet. Let's test that. But before we do that, let's talk about today's sponsor, which is Skillshare. Now, right up front, if you click the link down below, you can get Skillshare completely free for the first month. Nothing, no charge. You can take any of their classes, including mine on wedding filmmaking. Think of it like Netflix or Amazon Prime, but you're learning. All of the content is ad-free. There's nothing that you have to skip through. It's available to you when you're ready. You can start taking a class on the computer, pause it, and then pick it up on your phone on the app. I've been using Skillshare for quite a while now. They've been a supporter of this channel for a number of years. Some of my favorite classes on there are from Ali Abdal, fantastic teacher on all things organization. He's got a great class on Final Cut editing. MKBHD's class is a complete masterclass on how to run a YouTube channel, how to make YouTube videos. I've also taken quite a few classes on pizza and getting that perfect crust, which is the undercarriage, as Dave Portney calls it. It's really hard to make a solid pizza crust. There is a lot of classes on how to make pizza, specifically that crust. I do think Skillshare as a platform is fantastic for learning, and that's part of the reason why I put my class on there. If you're interested in becoming a member on Skillshare, you can click on the link down below, as I said, and you'll get your first month free. Thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring today's video. I've also been using this mic today, and the magnet alone in it is enough of a selling feature for me to move from the wireless Go 2. So I'm going to one wheel all the way down there and see how far we can get. Right now, it's wirelessly receiving signal from the 7200 setup we have going on right there. You can see it, no problems. I'm recording on here as well wirelessly so we can see how that video looks. I'm not going to show you the whole thing. I'll probably show you the end result of how far we got. And we're gone. We are lost. The signal has frozen. Recording failed. So interesting note with this, when it loses its connection, if you're recording, it just says recording failed and the file stops recording. We'll see if it closed out when we get home. But also, it just shows you the last frame, last split second before you lost your signal. It doesn't just say signal has been interrupted or signal lost or anything like that. So that's something to watch out for. I actually just checked on the monitor to playback, and it does look like it closed out the file. So that is a good thing. So if it does lose connection, you get a closed usable file still. It takes two Sony NP style batteries on the back there, but you don't need to use both. I can actually take one out and there's no interruption to power. And that means that it is in fact hot swappable. So right now the unit is on, it's wirelessly receiving the signal that we're recording. If I put that battery back in, I can now take this battery out. And you see how there's no interruption to power, it stays on. There is two little symbols on there for battery life, so you know what the battery levels are at whenever you're using the monitor. If you see one battery starting to die, you can make sure you have a second one on there, take off the one that's about to die, and then replace that. Hot swappable is really, really useful. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be wondering, can you use this to replace your Ninja 5? Well, I guess it really depends on how you use your Ninja 5, your Ninja V, whatever you want to call it. I would say think of this more as a backup. This cannot record 4K internally. Everything goes to a little tiny micro SD card, and it can record up to 60 frames per second, 1080p. So no 4K recording. There's also no ProRes recording. It is just a straight basic file recorded to that micro SD card. Now, I would love to see the ability to add a LUT or have a LUT baked into the image that's recorded to the SD card, similarly to the one that you can get wirelessly sent to your iPad, because that saves directly to your camera roll. That makes it a lot more useful because then you essentially have a graded image as soon as you stop recording, saved to your iPad that you can airdrop to your phone and share within seconds. That is something I would like to see. But right now, if you record to this wirelessly, to the monitor through HDMI, or to your iPad wirelessly, it is just a clean HDMI feed that is 1080p or up to 1080p, 60 frames per second. In terms of viewing whatever you've recorded, very user-friendly, straightforward, just tap the little arrow, and you can then scrub through everything. You can pause it, you can go to the next clip. Very straightforward, very easy to use. Now, as well as all the other things that we've talked about, it is just a video monitor as well, and not a bad one at that. 5.5-inch touchscreen. The touchscreen feels just like using the Ninja 5 if you wanted some reference. Some touchscreens aren't the most responsive in the world. This feels just like using that. In terms of video features, you have pretty much everything you could possibly want, and everything works the same whether you have an HDMI cable plugged in or if it's receiving its signal wirelessly like this one is right now. Obviously, you have LUTs. You can use those by tapping on the little colorful symbol there, and you can turn the LUT on or off, and you can store up to 5 in quick access spots. Right now I have my favorite Phantom LUTs on there in 1, 2, and 3, which I have Utopia, Tungsten, and Neutral. Those are my favorite Phantom LUTs. I love using the Phantom LUTs. They're just quick and easy to use. They're almost like a one-click grade. The Neutral one is actually designed by Joel, the creator of the Phantom LUTs, to look like Ari Alexa footage. So if you like that kind of look, then you might want to try out the Phantom LUTs. You can actually get a 15% discount link, which I'll put in the description down below for you. You do have 3 custom buttons on the top just here, F1, 2, and 3, and you can change those to anything you want within reason by going into settings, function, and then you can click on it and it gives you all of these options here. That's everything that you can change it to. Everything on here is really user-friendly, very easy to use. Audio meter's right here. This is my battery symbol. If I want to start recording, I can just tap on that, tap it again to stop recording. Remember, this is wireless right here. If I then click on this arrow, I can go in and view what I have already recorded. Right now, this is showing me this is the receiving unit, but if I click up here, I can actually change it to be the transmitter if I wanted to. So that's how you change that around. All my video assist tools are laid out along the top here. If I click on this one, it gives me access to my scopes, histograms, that kind of thing. You can turn these all on and off by just tapping on them. You can have those 3 on at once, but not that one. Don't know why, kind of strange, but it's there. That's how it works. You can control the opacity as well by dragging the slider here. If you don't want to be see-through at all, you can do that. Tap the screen again and you just get back to be able to view your image with your scopes and your other video assist tools. Let's turn all of those off. Next up, along the top here in a section that's called photos, don't know why, but it is, you have your frames, so you can change the color, the width, the aspect ratio, safe zones, change the color, the width. You're starting to see a pattern here of what you can do. You can pretty much change everything, turn all this on and off by just tapping the little button there. Anamorphic D-stretch, you have 1.65, 1.5, 1.33, 2x, 1.8. That's all your anamorphic D-stretch, and then you can turn on and off your center markers if you wanted to. So if I turn that on, you see a little blue center marker now appears in the middle there. Let's turn that off. Again, change the color for that if you wanted to. Next up on this section called focus, you have your focus peaking. So I can change the color. Let's say I want to make it red and I want it to be, I don't know, let's turn this down to like 37%, turn that on. Now you have focus peaking. Can you see it on there? Sort of. Let's make it a little bit brighter. or more sensitive. There you go. So focus peaking on and off. It's more pink than red, really, but it is what it is. Let's just turn that off. Your zoom is controlled by using 2 fingers. So if I turn that on and then go back here, you can just leave this on. I can now zoom in and zoom out. And it's pretty smooth, actually. Pretty smooth. Let's turn that off again. I also have my zebras, whatever you want to call them. Turn those on and off. You can set your minimums and your maximums. False color, and then monochrome there as well. Then finally, you can control your gamma, your HDR, and then your color temperature as well. And you can just tap back, and then we're back at our main screen. LUTs are controlled by tapping on the little circle color icon there. You can turn those on and off. On the left hand side here, you have an HDMI in, you have an HDMI out, so you have your pass through there. So if you want to send that signal out to something else, you can do so. You also have your headphone jack and then a DC in as well to power it that way. On the bottom, you do also have a DC out, so you can use the power from these Sony batteries to power other things if you wanted them to. On the right hand side, you have a USB-C port, which you can't use for powering the unit, and then above that is where you have your micro SD card slot. Power button is on the top of the unit with the antennas, or the rabbit ears, whatever you want to call them. So as you can tell, it pretty much has every possible tool in it that you could need, including wireless and the ability to have a backup 1080p 60 recording should you wish. My only gripe right now is that there is only one 1/4 inch 20 thread on the unit, which is on the bottom, which means you're kind of limited by your mounting points, especially as there is no auto rotate or way to rotate the screen. Now, when I did ask Vaxis about this, they said they are looking at potentially adding that via a firmware update in the future. So hopefully we will see that then. Otherwise, Vaxis, that is a valiant, solid effort. You pretty much put in everything people could possibly need. I'm somewhat impressed. That's all I've got for you today. If you're interested in picking up one of these, I'll pop a link down below. I believe the price is going to be $5.19 per unit. So yeah, link down below if you want one of those. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.